The 3.2 update was officially announced. Nahida and Layla will of course be playable, Scaramouche is now a weekly boss, no surprises there. On the other hand, the reruns, Yoimiya gets her banner placed with the Dendro Archon this time. God damn it, Hoyo, this is the third time you've done this. Childe getting his 4th banner after a year, and Yae Miko getting her first ever rerun. I basically have all 3 of them. Look, Ayato has too many similarities with Childe, alright? I think it would be a good idea if I put some thought into giving a meta-focused recommendation for all 3 of these characters. But before I do that, I just want to say thanks for 1.5k subs. I've been extremely busy with school recently, and with midterms over, you could probably expect more uploads. Hopefully. Remember to sub and like so we can reach 2k subs soon. I'll do a small Q&A when we reach it, so yeah, thanks, and I appreciate it a lot. I'll go over their gameplay, if they're good with Dendro or not, because it is still somewhat new, and whether you should pull for them or not. Obviously, take my opinion with a grain of salt. There's no need to pull for someone because you feel forced to. I'll give recommendations, but you should always pull for whoever the hell you want. Let's start with Yoimiya. Best girl. She is one of my favorite characters of all time. She is a very reliable single target DPS and is great at melting bosses in the abyss. She's fairly free to play friendly and has flexible team comps. I also want to clear up some controversy about Yoimiya's kit because people still overrate how much of a problem it is for her. Her pyro application is fine how it is. If she was able to apply pyro on every single normal attack, she wouldn't be able to vaporize or overload her own attacks consistently, and she's almost always going to vaporize the strongest multipliers in her kit anyways. If Yoi is strictly single target, doesn't that mean she's bad? No, not at all. Yoimiya lacks in AoE, but your party members can help with that, and she has high damage to make up for it. Oh yeah, her burst. Yeah, don't bother leveling it up. It's one of the most useless bursts in the game, but it does look good, I'll give it that. Is she good with Dendro? Nah, not really. Virgin and Burning aren't really that good of a reaction to begin with, and they don't allow her damage potential to become even higher. Virgin isn't too great, because Yue will have a rough time hitting the Dendro cores due to her being a single target DPS, and auto lock is just finicky. Should you pull for her? It depends. Obviously, yes if you like her, but there are other conditions that you should consider. Mainly Xiangling and Hu Tao. Unfortunately, Yoimiya isn't as good as them in my opinion. Hu Tao just has higher DPS, and Xiangling does all of her damage off-field. If you already have them built, I wouldn't recommend going for Yoi, as much as it pains me to say that, but if you don't have Hu Tao or any single target main DPS, or just don't want to build Xiangling, then she's a very good pickup. I'd argue that Yoi is more flexible than Hu Tao, so if you value flexibility over damage, then that's another reason to go for her. Moving on to Childe, or Tartaglia as I like to call him. I'm very surprised about a few things actually. He's just now getting his 4th banner, and not many people have pulled on his previous ones. And this really surprises me because of how satisfying it is to watch Riptide just quite literally rip through all the smaller mobs. It's also crazy because I'd argue that he is the most meta-defining character out of all the 3 ones being mentioned. But again, that's subjective. Hydro is just such a good element. The majority of characters of that element are either high or top tier. There are obviously exceptions. It's one of the most flexible elements in the game because of all the reactions involving Hydro. They are just so useful. Taser, Vaporize, Bloom, Hyper Bloom, and I guess even Freeze are teams that Childe can work in. He's just that flexible as an on-field DPS. And with Dendro being a thing, Bloom has proven to be pretty solid. We don't have many options for Dendro, but with Nahida around the corner, that could change. Childe is a decent option for Bloom, but with Nilo in the game, there's no reason to use Childe and Bloom unless you want to, but he still performs well in those teams. Obviously, Childe has a lot of competition, and his main competitor is Ayato, who is also a character I love using. They pretty much serve the exact same purpose, both being on-field Hydro applicators, but the main difference is that Ayato has better and consistent personal damage, while Childe has better AoE, Hydro application, and one of the best nukes in the entire game. They still perform similarly to each other, because Ayato can literally work in every team that Childe can work in. He also has a lot of competition in the Hydro application department, so if you have any of them built, then you shouldn't feel the need to pull for him. But it's always nice to try pulling for another one because he's just so fun to play with. And there aren't really many options for on-field Hydro application. Last but not least, we have Yae Miko. I have a lot to say about her. Personally, I don't like her playstyle that much. I got used to her gameplay and how she feels, but the more I use her, I just get more frustrated with how her kit works, and she could have been so much better than she is right now. Not to say that Miko's bad, because she's not. She does good damage, but I just really don't like how a sub-DPS character takes so much time on field for her to set up everything that she has, and because of how frequently you have to do it in every rotation. And I don't want to hear shit about how Miko's an on-field DPS, because literally her entire kit spells off-field DPS all over the place. It's just way better for her as a sub DPS in my opinion. Not to say that you can't run a main DPS Miko, but something I can say is how Miko got significantly better with Dendro and the Gilded Dream set. Her damage has become even higher than it is before, even as an on-field DPS, I guess. Building Elemental Mastery on Electro characters is the go-to for pretty much all aggravate teams. Miko excels at that because she has EM scaling with one of her passives, and a high scaling burst which allows her to take full advantage of aggravate. But is she better than Fischl, Raiden, Sino, or even Keqing? Hell no. In my opinion, the characters I just listed are all better than Miko. Yes, even Keqing. She does good damage, but not enough to justify me saying that she's better than all of the ones I just listed because they all benefit from Dendro. Not as much as Miko, but they still benefit from the reaction, right? If you don't have them or only have one of them built and love Electro, Miko can be a good pickup, for sure. Her burst animation and personality were just too good for me to pass up. I went over all the characters that will have a rerun. Let's say you decide to not go for Nahida and wanted to go for these three. If I had to pick and choose which ones you should go for, I would choose Childe, Yoimiya, then Miko. That's the order of the characters I would recommend from a meta perspective. I hope this helps you make a decision about which of the three you would like to go for, but again, don't feel forced to pull for them. Remember to sub and like if you enjoyed, and if this helps you make a decision. This channel will soon reach 2k subs, and again, I will do a Q&A, so hopefully we can get there soon. I would greatly appreciate it. Have a good night and day wherever you're at, and I'll see you all next time. Peace, and take care.